Hi friends! So today we're going to be practicing some more with main idea, and we're going to be using that same graphic organizer that we used last time where we identify the topic, the main idea, and then the 3 supporting details that help support that main idea. We're going to be using another informational text called the Camel, and as we read it and try to identify each part, like the topic and the main idea, we're going to be referring back to all of our clues that help us find our main idea. So I'm going to start off with reading our article, and that way we can kind of listen for clues and kind of start to work our way towards our main idea. So the title is called The Camel. All animals have adaptations that help them live in their habitats. Camels are desert animals that live in Africa and Asia. To protect its eyes from sand, the camel has 2 rows of eyelashes. Camels can also close their nostrils, or noses, to keep the sand out. They can go weeks without food or water, so camels store fat and water in their humps. At night, the desert gets very cold, but don't worry, the camel doesn't get chilly. Camels have thick fur that keeps them warm in the cool evening temperatures. During the day, camels are hard workers and have strong legs to carry heavy loads. Okay, so we just read a lot of information about the camel, and I want you to be thinking about what I read and what were some clues that might help lead us to our main idea. So let's go back to our little checklist, and we can kind of just start from anywhere on here. So I like to start with the easiest one, which is the title. So let's always look at our title, and we see right here, the title of our story is called The Camel. So I know that this obviously was about camels. Now let's go back to our other clues. Another easy clue to start with are pictures. Did your text include a picture? Well, ours certainly did, and it was a little picture of a camel, which once again supports that our topic is going to be about camels. Let's see. Another one we could look for is the first and last sentence of our text. So I'm going to read the very first sentence. It says, all animals have adaptations that help them live in their habitats. So, I kind of heard the word animals, so we know that a camel is an animal, have adaptations that help them live in their habitats. So we know that this is probably going to talk about, so let me back up. So an adaptation is kind of just like something special that an animal has that helps them survive in a certain area. So right here where it says that help them live in their habitats, we're probably going to learn a couple things. We already read it. But this was a good opening sentence that led us into reading all the special things, the special adaptations that camels have that help them live in their habitat. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that first sentence because that was pretty helpful. And in the last sentence says, during the day, camels are hard workers and have strong legs to carry heavy loads. So this was just kind of a specific detail. I don't need to highlight that because that would probably be categorized under a supporting detail because it only talks about one thing, which is the camel's strong legs and what they do. But the first sentence was helpful because it was kind of just like a broad sentence telling me that certain animals have special qualities that help them live in their habitat, whether that habitat is cold or hot. So once again, the adaptations. That was when we talked about the special things that animals have. Okay. A new one that we didn't see on our anchor chart yesterday was bolded words. So when we talked about text features, we know that bolded words, underlined words, or highlighted words, those were all words that authors try to make special. They make them stand out in a certain way, like bolded, highlighted, or underlined, because they want to draw your attention to them. So I'm going to take my highlighter and I'm going to go and highlight all the bolded or underlined words I see, and we can obviously tell that they were underlined. So we have adaptations, we have the word protect, protect, take care of, nostrils, and if you go after that, nostrils or noses, that's a body part. Camels store, what do they store? Fat and water in their humps. We have temperatures, because before that they were talking about camels having thick fur that keep them warm in the cool evening temperatures. And then we have loads, which went with the during the day, camels are hard workers and have strong legs to carry heavy loads, so heavy things. Okay, so that was another clue. So I'm kind of looking at those words, seeing if any of them have any things in common. So I know that as I was highlighting, I was kind of reading the sentences that went along with them. So to protect its eyes from the sand, nostrils. So camels can also close their nostrils or their noses to keep the sand out. Let's see, they can go weeks without food or water. So camels store fat and water in their humps. Their thick fur helps keep them cool in the evening temperatures, and then their strong legs help them carry heavy loads. So as I was kind of going through that, I noticed something kind of like a pattern, was that all these words had something to do with something special that their body did. So like protect, when we read the rest of that sentence, to protect their eyes from the sand, the camels have 2 rows of eyelashes. So thinking of that word adaptation, which are special, qualities that animals have, these words were helpful because that was one example of how they have a special body part. So they have 2 rows of eyelashes to keep the sand out. When I saw nostrils, camels, they can close their nostrils or their nose to keep the sand out too. That's another special adaptation. That's another special body part that camels have to help them survive. What was another one? Store, so that camels can store fat and water in their humps. That was another thing that has to do with their body part, storing water in their humps. The humps are on their very back. And then temperatures, the thick fur keeps them nice and warm during cool evening temperatures. And then heavy loads was their strong legs. So their thick fur was a part of their body. Their strong legs were a part of their body. So far, these words are actually helping me out a lot because they all have something in common. All these words were a part of a sentence describing something special that their body part did. And then the last one that I like to look at are repeating words. Well, I noticed that in this text, there weren't too many repeating words except for like camel. And we know that because the title is camel. So if it helps you, you can go back and kind of look through to see all the times camels were repeated. And that kind of just helps you once again with your topic. But what I do want to point out is repetitive words, so words that repeat themselves over and over. Those are always really good clues and hints to circle or underline or even just notice. But sometimes too, you can look at like repeating patterns. So I know for me, a big repeating pattern that I saw here were body parts. So they kept talking about the body part of a camel. So like right here, camels are desert animals that live in Africa and Asia to protect its eyes. So eyes was a body part they were talking about. Eyelashes were a body part. Close their nostrils or noses was a body part. Camels store fat in their humps. That's a body part. Gets very cold. The camel doesn't get chilly. Camels have thick fur that's on their body. During the day, camels are hard workers and have strong legs. So these weren't the same words, but it was a repetitive pattern. It kept talking about its body. We didn't read anything about what a camel eats. We didn't read really much on like camel babies or where they live. We just kind of kept reading those special adaptations, just like the first sentence led us to kind of be prepared on what we were about to get into. So now let's take what we know and let's fill out our graphic organizer. So the topic. The topic, remember, is the person or thing that your text is about. Well, we know from the picture, from our title, and from repeating words, our topic is a camel. And now, remember what I told you last time. You can do it 2 ways, whichever help you. You can start off with your main idea. So if you kind of already know what the author was mostly talking to you about, or another way to look at that is what is the main point that the author is trying to teach you. If you already know that and you know your main idea, you can go ahead and write that in, and then you can go back and look for supporting details. Or you can go back, and because you've already kind of identified your patterns and your repeating words and the clues that help you, you can put your supporting details first and then create your main idea. So I might do it opposite today. I kind of already know that it was mentioning a lot about camels and how their body helps them live in the desert. So I might try to find one supporting detail that helps that, because that's most likely going to be my main idea. So let's see. I like this one right here that says camels can also close their nostrils or noses to keep the sand out. That's pretty impressive, and I think that's a really good adaptation to mention, because we know camels live in the desert. There's a lot of sand, and being able to keep sand out of your nose really helps a camel breathe, and it helps it stay alive and survive. So I'll go ahead and put that in for my detail 1. And remember, you can copy the sentence or you can kind of write it in your own words. I'll say camels can close their nostrils, and I'm going to use the word nostrils because that was a special underlined word, to keep sand out. Okay, so that's a good detail, and it's another, like I said, it's a detail that supports how a camel has a special adaptation, a special quality to him that allows him to live in the desert. Let's find another good one. Right here where it says, at night the desert gets very cold, but don't worry, the camel doesn't get chilly. Camels have thick fur that keep them warm in the cool evening temperatures. So right there we learn that it gets really chilly at night in the desert. So if a camel's going to survive in the cold, it has to have some special quality or special adaptation. And boom, it's right there. They have thick fur that keeps them warm. So that's a really great detail to write. So I'll say camels have thick fur that helps, I'm kind of using my own words, that helps keep them warm in the cool evening. Help keep them warm in the cool evenings. Good. And then now I need to find one more supportive detail that kind of goes along with the whole possible main idea of that camels have special adaptations that help them survive in the desert. Let's see. I think a good one to use is this one. So we know that deserts are a very hot climate. It's hard to find water there. So this is pretty fascinating that they can go weeks without food or water. So camels store fat and water in their humps. So they can go super long weeks without eating or drinking anything, because it's probably kind of hard to find water and food in the desert. So they can store it in their humps. That's a great adaptation, a great special quality that helps them survive in the desert. So I'm going to go ahead and write that one in here. Let's see. Camels can store food and water in their humps. Okay. So now I've had my 3 details, supporting details. Camels can close their nostrils to keep sand out. Camels have thick fur that helps keep them warm in the cool evenings. And camels can store food and water in their humps. I knew to put these down here because I kind of already knew. I had an idea of what my main idea would be because I noticed the patterns. I saw my clues. I kind of knew that the main idea, what the author was mostly talking about, and the main point the author was trying to teach me, was that camels have special adaptations that help them survive in the desert. So I'm going to write that for my main idea. Camels have special adaptations, and I want to use adaptations because that was a underlined word, and that was a great clue in my very first sentence. And a lot of times, not all the time, but sometimes your first sentence is very helpful for your main idea. Camels have special adaptations that help them survive in the desert. You could have said survive or that help them live in the desert.